Hey, this is Ideal Coaches for Coaches Rome. Weighing on the weight classes, episode 12A, the preview to UFC 140, headlined by the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship bout, the challenger Lyoto Machida versus the champion Jon Jones. Please forgive my voice, I'm very sick right now. Let's get into the picks. Heavyweight bout, Frank Mir versus Minotauro Nogueira.
The last time these two fighters faced each other, no one thought that Frank Mir was going to be the first guy to finish off Minotauro. Now, 3 years later, they meet again. Nogueira has commented on the injuries and illnesses that plagued him in that bout. There are two ways to look at this. One, two of his three performances after that fight had him looking outstanding, especially the fight with Randy Couture. Or, the other way to look at it, the elements, although not good at any time, was not a factor in the Mir bout because of the way the fight was played out. That's for you to decide. People say Nogueira's striking is great because they hear other people say Nogueira's striking is great. While his ability to go from the head of the body is good, as well as his combinations, I feel he lacks the stand-up defense that is necessary to put him back in title contention, with or without his pupil holding the belt currently. Mir's striking, while not as slick as his opponent's, is good and powerful enough to get the job done. Perhaps this fight will display some ground game, a la Barnett Nogueira 1 and 2, but don't expect it. I would love to see a submission win for Nogueira, but my own logic tells me that Mir will win. Let's hope emotions pull through.
Featherweight bout, Mark Hominick versus Chan Sung Jung.
There's not a lot to talk about this particular featherweight fight. I don't want to see either man lose, but someone has to. Mark Hominick's far crisper striking will wear out the Korean zombie. Although Chan Sung has a far better offensive ground game, I just don't see him applying any of those submissions on Mark, especially after the champ Jose Aldo was unable to do so. Plus, the machine has a ground game himself. However, those submission wins were to far lesser grapplers and skill sets than the Korean zombie. If this doesn't end by the third round, I expect a clear-cut unanimous decision win for Hominick.
Light heavyweight bout, Tito Ortiz versus Antonio Rogerio Nogueira.
In a light heavyweight bout that was supposed to take place back in March of this year, we have Tito Ortiz versus Little Nogueira. After the surprise finish of Ryan Bader with the guillotine choke, the Huntington Beach bad boy was back on the map and went on to face Rashad Evans that, while showing glimmers of offense, ended up being an otherwise lopsided loss for Ortiz. Ever since the Machida fight, Tito has shown some willingness to display his submission game. The crowd goes wild every time he does it. Combined with the heavy hooks that he has, he can make the fight interesting, at least for those who are there live. His opponent is somewhat of a poison to that style. Antonio Rogerio Nogueira has not lived up to the hype once coming to the UFC, but has put on some good matches nonetheless. The lighter and faster Nogueira has better evasiveness than his larger brother outside of the shock loss to Sokoju back in the last days of Pride and subsequently the last days of Brazilian top team as we knew it. The takedown defense that was showcased in the Phil Davis fight, at least for the first round or so, has me thinking that Tito will not be able to take this fight to the ground nor be able to deal with the straight lefts and rights. There's an odd feeling I get that tells me that this fight will either be the most exciting or most boring from the main card. Either way, I got Little Nogueira taking this.
UFC Light Heavyweight Championship bout, the challenger Lyoto Machida versus the champion Jon Jones.
In the main event, Machida will face Machida version 2.0 and the champion Jon Jones. I say that because the current champ is a current unsolved riddle. Let's get some things out of the way. For some reason, people dislike Jon Jones now like they did Machida on his rise. As I stated in the previous weigh-in on the weight classes, Jones' cardio is suspect, and the Rampage fight did nothing to make me move away from that claim. The biggest problem is that Lyoto will purposely wait until opening presents itself, which may be in the later rounds when the champ is tired. However, Lyoto's patience has cost him in the Rampage fight. There are a lot of things that make this fight interesting. Clinching with Machida has not proven effective at all. But on the flip side, Lyoto cannot simply kick to make up for the distance because it will lead to either a takedown or a counterpunch from a guy that has an insane range. If Jones can dictate the pace early, land a takedown and do some damage, he'll be okay. But the longer the fight goes, the more it moves into the challenger's favor. But I have to pick a winner. There's a lot of talk about intangibles going into this fight on internet forums and different interviews. But here's one intangible that I see in Jon Jones' favor, and that's time, because it still belongs to him right now.
Okay, let's run this down. I got Frank Mir, Little Nogueira, Mark Hominick, and Jon Jones winning. Now this is a very strange call for me because I would rather see two of my own picks lose. I personally want Minotauro to win, and I want Lyoto Machida to win. But I just don't think that's happening. My own logic is playing against me. There's a number of fighters in the preliminary card which I've never seen fight before, at least most of them. If there are any exciting fights or controversial decisions or something spectacular, I definitely review them and weigh on the weight classes episode 12B, 1 or 2 days after the event. Okay guys, take care.